A warm welcome to all the viewers. I am Dr. Abhijit Das, professor in the Department of Business Administration at ABS Engineering College, Ghaziabad. Today, I will be discussing this subject, consumer behavior in marketing communications, and I will discuss the second unit of this particular subject, and the first topic of the second unit is perception. Now, this subject, consumer behavior and marketing communication MK02, is part of marketing specialization. Now, let us look at perception. Now, why do we study perception as part of consumer behavior? Is that consumers buy a product or purchase a product based on their perception about the product or that particular brand. So, perception is an important and integral part of consumer behavior. Now, we define perception as the process by which an individual selects, organizes and interprets stimuli into a meaningful picture of the world. Now, we are exposed to several stimuli in our daily lives and different situations. Now, when we are exposed to several stimuli, we cannot process all the stimuli at the same time. So, consumers also are exposed to several stimuli, and out of those stimuli they will select a few stimuli and then organize those stimuli into a coherent and complete picture, and then try to interpret, that is, assign some meaning to the stimuli. So, this is the basic process of perception. Now, there are different elements of perception. The first is sensation, absolute threshold, differential threshold and subliminal perception. Now, sensation is the process by which various stimuli are perceived by the individual. That is, an individual is exposed to several stimuli and these stimuli are then sensed by various sensory organs like eyes, ears, nose. So, a person is exposed to various stimuli and these stimuli are then perceived by an individual through his sensory organs like eyes, ears and nose, etc. Now, the concept of absolute threshold. Absolute threshold means the basic minimum threshold beyond which a stimulus cannot be perceived. Let us say, for example, that we have an audio stimulus. Now, audio stimulus, if it is very faint, the person will not be able to perceive it, or if an image is very faint, it will not be perceived by the individual. So, absolute threshold says what is the basic minimum limit beyond which a sensation or a stimulus will not be perceived by an individual. The next is differential threshold. Now, it might happen that we are exposed to several stimuli and these stimuli are similar in nature. So, the individual should be able to differentiate between two similar stimuli, and it has several implications in marketing also. In marketing, when companies try to copy products of well known companies, they try to make their products seem similar to that of the well known company, so that the consumer is not able to differentiate or distinguish between the two stimuli. And similarly, companies which have well known products, they try to differentiate their products from other companies. So, this is how we use the concept of differential threshold. So, it is the minimum difference that will be perceived by an individual between two similar stimuli. Now, comes the concept of subliminal perception. Now, subliminal perception is a very interesting concept. Subliminal, the word means sub, below the limit. So, it says below the limit of threshold. So, subliminal perception are those stimuli which are very faint and cannot be perceived by our sensory organs. Now, cannot be perceived means that our conscious mind cannot perceive these very faint stimuli, but they register in our subconscious mind. So, subliminal perception is registered by our subconscious mind, but not the conscious mind. Now, there are several theories linked to subliminal perception, that companies use subliminal perception to hide secret messages and promote their product through a stimulus which has nothing to do with it. But this is a controversial theory, and there is no proof as far as use of subliminal perception is concerned. Now, let us look at the process of perception. So, as the definition said, the process of perception includes three major processes: selection, organization and interpretation. So, perception is defined as the process by which an individual selects, then organizes and then interprets stimuli into a meaningful and coherent picture of the world. So, as I said, we are exposed to several stimuli during a course of day, and first we will select a few stimuli from them, then we will organize them, and then finally, we will assign some meaning to the stimulus. Now, first is perceptual selection. So, people are exposed to several stimuli and they cannot possibly perceive all the stimuli. So, people tend to select certain stimuli. Now, on what basis will they select certain stimuli and not pay attention to the remaining stimuli? These are the factors which will determine to which stimuli people will select out of the several stimuli to which they have been exposed. So, nature of stimulus, expectations, motives, selective exposure, selective attention, perceptual defense and perceptual blocking. Now, let us examine these one by one. The nature of stimulus. Now, if the nature of stimulus is bright or loud, it is more likely to be perceived. If we hear a loud sound, all of a sudden we will be startled and we are more likely to perceive a loud sound as compared to a faint sound. Similarly, a very bright object is more likely to be perceived. Then expectations. People see what they expect to see. Now, let us take an example that I go to an electronics shop. Now, what do I expect to see in that electronic shop? Electronic gadgets, television, refrigerator, washing machines and so on. Now, if the shop in one corner is selling some food products, chances are I will not perceive it, because in an electronic shop selling electronic products, I will expect to see only electronic products. So, my mind will not register a product which I do not expect to see. Then similarly, the third point is motives. People are likely to perceive those products or those objects which pertain to an unfulfilled need or desire or motive. Now, again taking the example of I enter a shop which sells electronic gadgets. Now, I go there to buy a television. So, the first thing that I will perceive when I enter the shop are the televisions. There are other electronic gadgets also, washing machine, refrigerators, mobile phones and so on. But I will first of all perceive television because it pertains to an unfulfilled need, and my basic motive of going to the shop was to purchase a television. Then comes selective exposure. Now, over a period of time, people are exposed to several stimuli. Now, not all these stimuli will be pleasant. So, people tend to pay attention only to those stimuli which are pleasant, and they will avoid those stimuli which are unpleasant. Now, selective exposure means I control the exposure to the stimuli. if I am exposed to several stimuli, some of them pleasant and unpleasant, then I will select those stimuli which are pleasant and with agree with my values, my value systems and so on. Then comes selective attention. Selective attention again is similar, that we pay attention to those stimuli which are pleasant and we will block out or avoid stimuli which are unpleasant. Now, there is a basic difference between selective exposure and selective attention. Now, selective exposure happens when the exposure is within our control. Let us say you are watching a television, a program on television, and you see something unpleasant on the scene or a advertisement which you do not like. So, you will change the channel, but let us take, in this case we have changed the channel and we avoid looking at that unpleasant scene because the exposure is within our control. But let us say you go to watch a movie in a theater, there the exposure is not within our control. So, if I see an unpleasant scene, I will avoid paying attention to that unpleasant scene. So, this is the difference between selective exposure and selective attention. Then comes perceptual blocking. Now, the perceptual blocking is a process by which people subconsciously avoid unpleasant things, unpleasant objects or unpleasant situations. They actively avoid those unpleasant situations. Now, the last point here would be perceptual blocking. Now, perceptual blocking means that people again block out unpleasant stimuli due to overexposure. For example, if I have been watching television for 2 hours and I am bored now, so I will avoid looking at the television or the program because of overstimulation. So, perceptual blocking occurs due to overstimulation, and perceptual defense is an integral part of our thought process. Our thought process is such that we automatically or subconsciously avoid unpleasant things. So, when we think, we tend to think of pleasant things, and subconsciously our mind, in order to protect us, it blocks out unpleasant thoughts and unpleasant scenes. Now, the third part of the perceptual process is perceptual interpretation. Now, the process of interpretation means that we tend to assign some meaning to the stimuli. So, we have stimuli, we have been exposed to the stimuli. When after exposure to the stimuli, we tend to select certain stimuli which have meaning for us. So, we look at perceptual interpretation. In the process of interpretation, several people may be exposed to the same stimuli, but each person might assign a different meaning to the stimuli. That is, the person will interpret the stimuli in a different manner. So, there are several instances where several people have been exposed to the same stimuli, but they all interpret it in light of their own previous experiences. Now, this happens particularly when the stimuli are highly ambiguous, they are not clear, and individuals usually interpret them in a way that serves to fulfill their personal needs and interest. Now, in psychology, we have a test called ink blot test. In an ink blot test, people are shown at random pictures which do not apparently make any sense. They have just random images, and people are asked to interpret as to what that image means to that person. So, the person will interpret it in such a manner that it fulfills some of his most dominating thoughts. So, he will see in that particular picture a thought which is dominating his mind. If he is concerned about his health, for example, so he will look at the picture and he will interpret it in such a manner that it pertains to some health issue or health problem. Similarly, projective techniques which we use in business research also are based on the similar similar principle, that we try to project what is there in the subconscious mind of the consumer and try to find out and project those thoughts outside. So, this is called projective technique, and the basis is the same, that people are asked to interpret ambiguous stimuli which do not make any coherent sense. Now, let us look at some marketing variables which influence consumer perception. The first is nature of the product, that is whether the product is, let us say, an FMCG product or a durable product and so on. Physical attributes, characteristics of the product, that will depend upon our perception of the product. The package design, if the package is very attractive, people will perceive the product to be of good quality and they will immediately purchase the product. Brand name, people buy designer shirts, branded shirts and clothes. Why? Because they perceive that those clothes which have a particular brand, they are very of good quality and the latest fashion. Advertisements and commercials are the most important things which create perception in the mind of the consumer. So, whatever perception we have in our mind, that regarding a product or a brand has been created by advertisements and commercials. Now, position of the advertisement, if we see an advertisement in a newspaper, then advertisement, if it is prominently displayed, if it is on the first page, it is more likely to be perceived. If the advertisement is in a small corner of the newspaper, it is less likely to be perceived. Then the editorial environment. For example, that if a company is selling sports equipment and they place that advertisement in the sports section of the newspaper, it is more likely to be perceived. Now, the second part of perceptual process was perceptual organization. So, first we are exposed to several stimuli and then out of that we select certain stimuli and then we organize them into a coherent and complete picture of the world. So, this principle of perceptual organization is based on Gestalt psychology. Gestalt in German means pattern or configuration. Now, it is the name of the school of psychology that first developed the basic principles of perceptual organization. Now, the basic principles of perceptual organization are based on figure ground concept, grouping and closure. Now, figure ground concept says that individuals will perceive an image which has a contrast with its background. So, there is an image in the foreground and there is an image in the background. So, people will perceive a picture in contrast with its background. Now, for example, there are advertisements of soaps. Now, the soap is the main product which the company is trying to promote and the product is being promoted by a actress. So, people tend to pay more attention to the actress than to the soap, although it should be the other way around, that is the soap should be the main picture and the actress should be in the background. Second is grouping. Now, grouping, the process is that if we try to remember, let us say a mobile number. Now, I have written a mobile number at random. How do I remember this mobile number? I will divide it into parts 9456888891. So, this is the concept of grouping. So, when we are exposed to certain stimuli, we tend to organize these stimuli which are similar, which are either close to each other or which are similar to each other. So, I have divided this mobile number into 4 parts in order to remember it. So, this is the concept of grouping. Then comes the concept of closure. Now, closure means that if a person is exposed to an incomplete stimuli, the mind will automatically try to complete the stimulus. For example, now people might perceive this to be a square, but it is actually not a square. This is just a collection of dots. So, what the mind does is that it completes the incomplete stimuli and makes it complete into a complete picture. So, this is how people perceive incomplete stimuli. Now, an important aspect of perception is that there are certain distorting influences. Now, physical appearance, stereotypes, irrelevant cues, first impressions, jumping to conclusion and halo effect. Now, these are certain factors which distort our perception. Now, physical appearance, people buy products which have attractive packaging. So, the mind automatically perceives the product to be of good quality, physical appearance. Stereotype, we tend to perceive objects on the basis of class or category to which they belong. For example, again if we want to buy a product, we may be influenced by the fact that it is made in Japan or China or America. So, this fact affects our perception of the quality of the product, whether it is made in China or America or Japan. Irrelevant cues, people go to buy detergent and they decide to buy a detergent which is of blue color. So, they presume that detergent which is of blue color is of good quality. First impression is the last impression, as you are aware. So, people buy a product based on the first impression and without going into details about the product. Jumping to conclusion, that is, when I am exposed to the first stimuli, I draw a conclusion, yes, this is a very good product or this is a very bad product. And halo effect, halo effect means that people, when perceiving an object, their perception is influenced by one or more dominant characteristics. For example, if I am to buy a laptop, I only look at the processor, or I want to only consider the brand, or I will say I only want an i5 or i3 or i7 processor without taking into account other factors regarding that particular product. Now, application of perception, that is product positioning and repositioning. Positioning means creating an image in the mind of the consumer, and if the image is not useful, then the company might try to reposition the product by changing that particular image. Similarly, positioning of services, as with reference to products, companies try to create an image in the mind of the consumer. Similarly, with respect to service, let us say mobile phone services, companies try to create an image about the product as compared to the competitor's image. Then perceived price. Now, people will be willing to pay a certain price, let us say I will be willing to pay 10,000 rupees for a mobile only if I perceive that this mobile is worth 10,000 rupees. So, people's choice of a particular product will depend upon the perception about the price and also perceived quality. Now, people buy a product only if they perceive that the quality is as per their requirement. Now, retail store image, if I go to a large retail store, I might perceive that whatever is being sold in this retail store is of good quality. So, I will buy the product or that particular brand just because it is available in a large department store or supermarket. Manufacturer's image, there are large companies which have very good positioning and very well known brands. People will automatically buy these products which are manufactured by these well known companies. Then perceived risk. Now, there is a risk associated with every purchase decision. What is the risk? I buy a product and it does not function. So, I suffer a loss, my money is wasted. So, there is a financial risk. If the product, let us say I buy a mobile phone and while charging it, it bursts, so it hurts me. So, that is a physical risk associated with the product. So, there can be different types of risk which people might perceive with reference to a product. So, this is how we have discussed the concept of perception and different aspects which are related to the study of consumer behavior. So, consumers buy products based on their perception of the product. This perception is formed in different ways. The most important way in which a perception is formed are through advertisements and commercials. There can be other ways in which perceptions are formed. Those other ways may be direct use of a product or information which I have gathered from other sources, family, friends, that might help me in developing a perception about a product. So, based on the perception about a product, the customer or consumer will take a decision to purchase the product. So, this is how perception is related to the entire consumer behavior or consumer decision making process. Now, if you look at the consumer decision making process, first is the consumer identifies a need, then he looks for information which is required for purchasing the product or taking a decision, and then he will make an evaluation of various brands. Now, at this stage perception plays an important role. He has been exposed to lot of information about that particular product or about that particular brand. So, he will take a decision to purchase a particular brand or product that he or she perceives it to meet his needs or requirements or wants. So, this is how consumer behavior is related to perception and marketing. So, as part of marketing, whenever a person purchases a product, the product forms a perception in the mind of the consumer, on the basis of which he takes the decision to purchase or not to purchase a product. So, if he perceives the product does not adequately satisfy his needs and wants, he will not purchase the product. Now, let us summarize the entire process of perception we have studied so far. So, the perception starts with selection of stimuli, and then we organize the stimuli into a meaningful picture, and then we interpret the stimuli, that is assign certain meaning to the stimuli. So, this is the entire process of perception, which we can divide clearly into 3 stages. Now, at every stage we have seen in the first stage, that is selection, which involves a person being exposed to several stimuli and he selects only particular stimuli upon which he will act. So, out of several stimuli to which he is exposed, he will only perceive certain stimuli, because it is not possible for him to process all the stimuli. So, that is the first step, that is selection. The second step is organization. So, if we try to organize those stimuli which we have selected, we will try to organize them into such a manner that it gives us a complete picture of the entire situation. So, if you close your eyes and I ask you to describe the class, then you will, there will be certain images in your mind. So, those images have come as a matter of fact, where you were exposed to several stimuli in the class and you selected certain stimuli, and then you organize them into a picture of the class. And finally, in the final step, we tend to interpret stimuli by assigning certain meanings. So, this is the complete process of perception as we have studied, and I would now like to thank you all the viewers for patiently listening to this program. Thank you very much.